Charisse, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today because I am delighted to share the mission of your company, the tenacity that you and your wife have shown in just persevering. And you've had some recent wins. But before we dive into all the questions, can you tell us about Dapper Boi and tell us about how the tipping point went from an idea to really beginning this brand with an impactful mission?
Yeah. So Dapper Boi is an all gender size inclusive brand. And I know that sounds like a mouthful, but it's a really easy concept where my wife, before the brand, she used to shop in the men's department. She's a plus size woman, and the men's clothes were not fit for a woman's body. Aside from her liking the more masculine aesthetic, there's just more functionality in men's jeans, like the deep pockets, the not very restrictive clothing. There was just so many things that she enjoyed about the more masculine aesthetic that we knew was kind of lacking in current clothing offerings. So it's so interesting. My wife actually, I like to say, pitched me Dapper Boi on our honeymoon. I had this like complete idea of what our married life was going to look like. She was working in casino marketing. I was in higher education. I love fashion, but starting a fashion brand was not on my bingo card for our first year of marriage. Um, but when she had approached me about it, I was all in just because um, I knew for myself what my favorite outfit could do for me. And I knew for her that once she started dressing in the aesthetic that she wanted, she was like almost there. Like I could tell that she was standing a little bit taller and with more confidence. But I knew that if we teamed up on something that was going to be what is now Dapper Boi, that we could make it everything that we wanted it to be. So selfishly, it had started with her own fashion pursuits, but we had found that there was a market for it. So again, zero fashion experience. We had no idea what we were talking about. We didn't talk any fashion lingo. So we picked up the phone, thought that it was as easy as Googling manufacturers, and it wasn't. We got hung up on a lot. After maybe like 6 months of trying to reach out to manufacturers and at the same time kind of comparing what we really liked about men's jeans and women's jeans, finally found a manufacturer that said, hey, I think you're onto something. And the rest is kind of history. We went on Kickstarter. We had a goal of, I think it was like 18,000, and we had surpassed it. Again, kind of testing the market, and we were like very pleasantly surprised to see that there was such a need for it. And yeah, 10 years later, here we are. We've been having some really big wins, like you were saying. We've been on Shark Tank, we've been on CBS Mornings, and just a couple days ago, we had announced that we are we just got onto Nordstrom.com, and it's huge because when we were on Shark Tank, they were like, where is a brand like yours going to exist? The men's section, the women's section, where does it go? And Nordstrom gets it. They put us in both sections, which is revolutionary for
Yes.
it's almost archaic the way that the fashion shopping experience is now. You walk in and you have to choose a side. Am I going to pick the more masculine or the more feminine, aka the men's side or the women's side? It can't just be clothes. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very cool that I feel like we're really breaking some ideas of what the shopping experience should be.
Yeah, you're rewriting the rules for sure. And in the midst of all of this, you're the mom to twins, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yes. We have
So,
two little ones. Um, Fun fact, we have twin girls named Reese and Tori. So Reese is named after me, like Charisse, and then Tori after Victoria. I did ask to name our first child Charisse Jr., but my wife said, no, thank you.
I love how you came up with a compromise.
Yeah, so they totally are little minis, so it's very fun.
I love that. And I mean, you're rewriting the rules with clothing,
Mhm.
and you're also rewriting the rules on how you can lead a business with not only strategy, with a lot of passion and heart. So, can you talk to us about how that has transformed you and how you're on to something. You're expanding how we can look at business and not only make profits, but like you said, the brand is giving people confidence. It's
Yeah,
making them be able to show up at a store and find what fits them and makes them feel good.
yeah. So it's interesting because it does come from being a mom,
Mm,
because, a lot of the foundation of our mission all comes back to our customers. So a lot of that, when we talk about confidence, we also have to talk about, confidence is such a great thing and it's so positive and there's such light behind it. But there's also the flip side. And when you don't have access to clothing that doesn't make you feel confident and what that means. So let me dive into that a little bit more. We actually had a mom reach out to us, and I love telling this story because of its impact. We had a mom reach out to us, and she said, my child saw a Dapper Boy ad and started smiling again. They were so severely depressed and even suicidal until they saw your Dapper Boy ad because they realized they belonged on this earth, because they saw people that looked like them. And it's like, if we can shift the way that we bring joy into this world, it's not just clothes, it's not a pair of jeans. It really is. We've always bringing the mission of the brand really starts with storytelling. And when you see our ad or when you come onto our website, we want people to have a feeling of confidence, of joy, of feeling like they belong. And so that is such a strong thing for us because we truly feel like we are saving lives and we don't take that responsibility lightly. And there's been so many hard decisions that we've had to make for the brand, especially as so many people have told us no. And, when you're trailblazing something or when you're pushing against boundaries of what people are used to, you're going to get a lot of doors closed in your face, a lot of people telling you no or that you can't do it. But we've always stuck to, this is what we've believed and we know inside of us, and we've listened to our customers and their need, and we're going to continue to push forward and hopefully revolutionize what fashion is going to look like in 10 years.
yeah, I love that. And I think that you are saving lives and you're changing the landscape of fashion. And I love how you tie that back to being a mom and women. And for so many women listening, they think that their idea isn't needed in the marketplace. Like success doesn't look like them. They don't have that quote unquote masculine way of presenting their ideas or founding their businesses, but you're demonstrating that that is what the marketplace wants and desires, that empathy, that connection, that understanding of who your customer is.
Yeah.
And we as women and moms are really positioned as
Mm,
nurturers to do that. So I
yes.
love that you share that story.
Yeah. It's so intuitive, right? It's like, even when, I don't know, moms have this like innate ability that even when somebody tells you no, like with your child, if you know deep down inside that, and I call Dapper Boy our third child. There's almost nothing I wouldn't do for my children. And I feel the same way about our business, because
Mm.
if I'm going to stand in between, our business being successful, then I am not able to provide clothing to those that need it. And that's really how we've always thought about it, even in our
Mhm.
hardest decisions to keep the brand going.
Yeah. I love it. And as you mentioned, you have been on Shark Tank and you've been named to the Out 100.
Mm-hmm.
And those are big rooms to be in. And you're giving this confidence to others with your brand. But I'm sure that you've had moments where you've had to work on yourself to help yourself realize that you deserve to be there, to show others that they belong and show others that they deserve to have the clothes that make them feel confident. So, what were some of those moments like?
I think as a founder, it's always this like ebb and flow of imposter syndrome, especially with social media, because we're constantly comparing ourselves, whether it's being a founder, being a mom, being just a human. You have this like lens of looking at other people and comparing yourself and saying, oh, they're better than me. They can do it better than I can. And I'm a nobody. Um, However, I'll share on Shark Tank for anyone that has watched it. We did not get a deal. And, um, you know, so here's, we have a very vulnerable story, and I'm gonna kind of rewind and give you the overview of what was going on just a few years ago. In 2022, like when at the height of the pandemic, we were doing really well. However, when the supply chain issues happened, it
Mm,
was so detrimental to so many businesses, including ours. And so and for a while, our business really relied on pre-order campaigns. And so we got into a position where our customers were 4, 5, 6 products into a pre-order, and we could not fulfill those because we were so backed up with the supply chain issues. And so it got to a point where my wife had approached me and said, I think that we need to sell our home to save the business. And as a mom, I've always been able to keep things separate where it's like, oh my goodness, like these are decisions that I make for the family. And then these are decisions that I make for Dapper Boi. I've always been able to compartmentalize those two things.
mm,
However, when this one question got brought up to me by my wife, it was that very hard conversation where I said, a yes or a no could impact both areas of our lives. And again, we went back to the customers and Dapper Boi being like our third child, being a first generation Filipino. My family has always thought of the American dream, buying a home, being successful, probably being a doctor or a lawyer. That is definitely what my parents wanted for me. Definitely not being an entrepreneur, giving it a betting all on that and being a two mom household, not what my parents had in mind for me when we immigrated. However, we also did an exercise where we thought about Dapper Boi. What does Dapper Boi look like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? And of course, we're dreaming big and we see big things for our brand. And then we reverse engineered it. And what does Dapper Boi look like? What does a world look like without Dapper Boi in 10 years? And that was a gut punch. It's
mm,
like, oh my goodness. Like, and, even in the fundraising journey of trying, asking investors to invest in Dapper Boi, how could I look at an investor and say, invest in us if we weren't willing to invest in ourselves?
mm,
So
mm,
we go on Shark Tank, we do the long walk, and we're in the middle of selling our home. This is all the things happening in the background. We're in the middle of selling our home, literally from the green room, watching on our Ring camera, dozens of people walking in. And mind you, if we did not sell our home that weekend, we would not have been able to make rent on our newest rental. I mean, times were like so dire. And we walk onto Shark Tank and we didn't get a deal. And, you know, they gave us every no in the book. They practically threw the book at us and they said, "You've made every mistake in the book." But what do you know? That same week, we got our very first lead investor, and everything is all about timing. And I'm so glad. Probably getting a no on Shark Tank is one of the best things that has ever happened to us. Because had we signed on with a shark, they would have, could we have gone into Nordstrom? They had asked us, what part of the department store would you go in, the men's section or the women's section? And they wanted us to choose. Now we get to write the narrative and we get to say, guess what? We don't have to choose. We get to go in both sides, you know, and making that choice, that very difficult choice to say, yes, we're going to sell our home, invest in ourselves. You know, all these things, like all the timing and us being able to create the brand that we wanted to on our own terms, create our own narrative, has led to so many amazing things. Being on Shark Tank, again, when I say it's been the best thing for our brand, it's given us so much exposure and opened up so many doors and been so many lessons that it's so, we almost look forward to the no's because we know that there's going to be so many no's that lead to a yes.
Yes. I love that.
Thank
It's
you.
such
Yeah.
a beautiful story of perseverance and divine timing and just
Mhm.
having trust and faith that, you know, there's something bigger than us. There's a mission bigger than yourselves that is attached to your brand. And how has it been navigating the investments, getting investors as a female and LGBTQ plus community members in raising that capital that is so important for your business?
I love that you asked that question. So I'm going to give you crazy statistics. So of all venture capital funding, and there's billions and trillions of dollars out there in venture capital funding a year, only 2% go to female founded businesses, and less than 1% go to LGBT brands. So it was so difficult. As bringing it back to the Shark Tank times and when we sold our home, we also said yes to another opportunity, and we were featured in a documentary called Show Her the Money. And it really gives this holistic picture of investors, of female founders, and the angels that invest into these VC funds. And when we were in the middle of all of the craziness, we had gotten approached about this film if we wanted to be one of the businesses featured in it. And as we said yes, literally we're like in the middle of selling our home, we're packing all our stuff. We're in the middle of filming and auditioning for Shark Tank. It was a very long audition process. We were like, you know what? Let's go ahead and say yes and have a camera crew come in and just document everything. They literally got the moment where my wife has the conversation with me and says, "Shh, I think we need to sell our home." And that whole decision-making process, I mean, they documented everything. And through that journey of being able to tell our story, again, we kind of pulled back the curtains of this isn't just a brand. This is the story behind the brand. This is the mission behind the brand. And it has been so impactful for us to say yes to that because number one, it has opened the doors for more investor conversations, but it's also been able to tell the very vulnerable story of the ups and downs of being a female founded business. I mean, it's just insane. Women, they say that women impact 80% of the buying decisions in a household. Why aren't we being invested in? You know, when you invest in a female founded brand, just statistically, we're going to do better because we are just more scrappy. We don't get a lot of funding, so when we do really well with it. So yeah, it's called Show Her the Money. It's been one of the most amazing opportunities that we've been given, and we're so fortunate that we've been able to tell our story through that platform as well.
I love that so much. And I love that you and your wife have done a very diverse mix of marketing and promotion for your brand.
Yeah.
It has, you really understand that it's not, it is a brand that affects so many people.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just not about the fashion industry. It's just not about female founders or moms or the LGBTQ community. It impacts so many people what you're doing. And
Yeah.
so I would love to hear about how you see your legacy and your daughters. I love how you include them
Oh,
in what
yeah.
you do and what they're seeing you accomplish and what that means for their future.
I gave a lot of thought to this because I get asked so much. It's interesting in the face of social media. They're in first grade now, but like their first week of kindergarten, one of their classmates came up to me and she's like, "My mom saw your mom on TikTok." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, like the amount of exposure that our brand has and recognition. Um, is so cool, but it also shows like, oh my gosh, we're being recognized. I better not like cut some mom off in the parking lot. Um, but also at the same time, my daughter said to me later that week, "Mommy, I'm the only one that gets picked up by our nanny." And
Yeah.
there's been moments where a couple of moms have said like, "Oh, you have a nanny?" And I think that we need to get out of that thought process because we are allowed to go to work and do well and also know that it takes a village, whether it's a nanny, grandma, a friend, family member, it doesn't matter. Like we all need help. Like we can't do it all. So when I get asked a lot, how are you a founder of a business doing it all? Because sometimes at Dapper Boi, I'm the janitor and sometimes I'm the COO. Like I wear all the hats. Um, and it's not about balance with kids, it's about involvement.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is I want my kids to have the core memory of what it has taken to get where we're at. I don't want them to think that it's been an overnight success. When we were on CBS Mornings, they were backstage. We want them to have that core memory of us and that very special moment. When we filmed our Nordstrom launch video. They were in it. We want them to be part of it as well. Sometimes we bring them to our fulfillment center and we have them package up orders. We
mhm,
want a very hands-on approach because hopefully someday they don't have to be take over Dapper Boi, but they have to be passionate about what they do. And
mhm,
I love them being able to see how unique it is that we are constantly wearing different hats. Sometimes we're moms, and sometimes we are like running a business. And I want them to see what a healthy relationship my wife and I have, playing both roles. Um, yeah, I just think that it's such a huge opportunity for us to really emulate that on a daily
mhm.
basis.
It really is because so many moms hesitate or to start a business because they think, oh, I'm just a mom or I'm a mom and run a business and they need to be separate. And it doesn't matter whether you have a job or whatever you don't do it in a vacuum. You
Mhm.
bring experience from both. You have to still be a mom while you're
Yes,
working and doing
yes.
those things. And so I love that you're setting that example, not only for your children, but for other women. It's so important because for so long we've been told, okay, well, if you want to start a business, well, maybe you should wait till the kids get older.
Right. My mom did the same thing. She did.
And it's like, No, we don't need to do that. Is it
Mhm.
easy? I don't think either one of us would sell that lie.
Right.
But it's so important to help other moms and women realize that, we don't need to apologize for being
Mhm.
mothers.
Yeah. The mom guilt is not is not becoming,
Mm,
because the best way I feel that I can be a role model to my girls is to show them how I do it. And
right.
the worst thing you can do is live in regret. Like, "Oh, I wish I did this so long ago." I mean,
Mm,
I hate that feeling of regret. And so our mantra with my wife and I, even when she literally day one of our marriage, when she had told me about Dapper Boy, my mantra in our marriage has always been say yes, ask questions later.
I love that. So, what advice would you have for moms who are feeling, stuck right now with honoring their family and pursuing their dreams? And especially a dream that, has this bigger vision for themselves than maybe just being a mom. It's like you're not just a mom. Being a mom is one of the most amazing things you can ever do in your life, but there's so much more should you choose it. And, you know, are there ways that you find harmony? I mean, it sounds like you asked for support. You're not apologetic about having a nanny, and that's wonderful. But are there other ways that help you, manage it? I don't think there's balance. We just
Yeah.
lean into whatever needs our attention the most at the moment.
Um, so the best way I could do it is to talk about it metaphorically like running a marathon. And
Mm.
when we think about running a marathon, that seems so overwhelming. It's like, oh my goodness, 26 miles, I could never. Most people would say I could never. But I'm a runner and I love it. And the first time I had trained for a half marathon, I can't even tell you how many people are like, "Oh, I wish I could do that. Oh, I'm living through you." It's like, you don't have to live through me. I'm not aspirational. I'm literally just lacing up my shoes and just going for it. And I'm a very slow runner, but it was like a moment for me to be able to do something for myself. And I always thought about it not as I'm training for something. I always, in this big arbitrary number of miles, I always just broke it down by I'm going to run 2 miles today and I'm going to start there. I'm going to run 4 miles today. And anytime you set a lofty goal for yourself, you know, you have to break it up into smaller pieces so it seems attainable. Um, and then you also have to be able to reflect. And what I mean by that is when we first started in 2015, we had auditioned for Shark Tank in year one, which is, I mean, talk about throwing out big goals. And we actually
Ambitious.
got pretty, yeah, we actually got pretty far in the audition process. And then they were like, you know what, you guys don't have enough numbers to back it up. Great story, reach out to us later. But in that initial audition video, what we did, it's so interesting. At that point, when we first started in our engagement through, year one of our marriage, we had a 4-bedroom townhouse. And we ended up, when we said we're going all in with Dapper Boy, we ended up downsizing to a 1-bedroom shack. Like it was awful. And our living room was we had our desk there, and it was also where we were shipping orders. And then somehow we're also supposed to have our like TV moment there to like decompress from everything. I don't know how we made it work and it's 630 square feet, but we did. And looking back at that video on that Shark Tank audition video, I said, our dream is to one day be in a major department store. And we looked at that video as we were creating content for our Nordstrom launch video. And I was like, how amazing that we manifested this 10 years ago. And now to be able to look back. So many times we're like, I could never do this. But if we take a moment to like write down our goals or like really reflect on what we're capable of, we don't give ourselves enough credit. We're like, we're still not doing enough. but you
Mm.
are, and you've accomplished so much. You just don't realize it. So taking a moment to not just manifest about what the future is, but know that you've done so much to lead you to the point where you're at. And if it's like all it is between you and saying yes, if you're putting so much energy into maybe should I, why wouldn't you just put that energy into, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take small steps towards it. It's like an energy shift instead of spending the energy of should I, could I, into I will. And every day I'm going to take a small step towards it.
I love it so much. You've given us so much to think about and so much great insight and wisdom from your experience that we can learn from. And it's
Mhm.
so important for me, for any mom to be able to turn on the podcast and find another entrepreneur that they can relate to and identify with. So thank you for sharing your story and your perseverance. It is changing the landscape.
Thank you.
So, I mean, it's my honor to share your story. So, for any mom listening, you've already shared so much. Do you have like a takeaway or something you want to leave them with before we end the episode?
What is when I was raising well, in the newborn stage, I never thought that I was going to get out of it. Like, I never thought that I was going to have a full night's sleep. And I think about how lack of sleep is used as a form of torture, but we're able to get through it and we're able to like manage and juggle all of the things through all of those sleepless nights. And it's like, moms are a superhero. Moms are like, I can't even tell you because I was able to raise two amazing humans and not just keep them alive, but have them thrive. They were preemies, 29 and a half weeks. And I never thought that I was going to get out of that crazy stage. We are capable of so much that, man, like literally anything is a possibility, anything.
I love that because so many of the women I talk to, and myself included, discount our abilities and all that we've accomplished. And so, thank you for reminding us of that. And just like this podcast, it'll be over 200 episodes by the
Mhm.
time this airs. And I never thought anybody would want to listen. And it was so tough in the early days. And now all of that just seems like a blink of an eye. All of
Mhm.
the hard work in the initial part. And so now I'm having conversations with women doing amazing things like yourself. And so all of that is a testament to just keeping going and celebrating your wins and realizing your worth.
Yes, and it's about having a platform where people feel comfortable to celebrate themselves and not diminish what they're doing. So many times we're like, somebody says like, "I love your outfit," and then they're like, "Oh, I got it at Target on clearance." Like, no, let's just show up
Right?
and say we
And
deserve.
receive the
Yeah,
compliment.
let's just receive it. And in the same way, like your platform allows so many moms the message that they need to hear to keep going. So bravo to us.
Uh, we're gonna pat ourselves on the back for a minute.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's been such a pleasure to have a moment to talk to you and to hear your story and celebrate your wins. I'm so
thank you
excited
so much. Thank you.
for your addition to Nordstrom, and I can't wait to see all that is coming because this is just the beginning.
Yes.
So, where can listeners connect with you and invest, buy Dapper Boi, all of the things?
Yeah. So obviously, yay, Nordstrom. If you search Dapper Boi, and that's boy with an I, kind of a play on words, BOI, or on Instagram at Dapper Boi, or on TikTok, we're Dapper Boi Squad. And then actually, my wife and I have our own Instagram where we kind of like talk about mom life, but also pull the curtains behind the scenes of what it takes to run our brand. And that's Meet the Pashas, Pasche.
I love it. And I'll leave links to all of those in the show notes, and
Yeah.
definitely connect with
Yeah.
Charisse and Vicky and Dapper Boi and let us know what impacted you from this episode. What did you need to hear? We'd love to hear from you and connect. So thank you so much, Charisse, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.